Just a warning, I will be, frick, I already messed that up. Just a warning, I do have my AirPods in because I'm on a call with a friend, and she's gonna bully me the entire time I record this, so, I will leave a blooper version of this video at some point where I keep messing up, where I keep yelling at my friend for messing me up. Yo, what's up guys and gals, this is Jacob Cross from TV10 Studios, and today we're going to talk about the importance of focal length and your lens choice for filmmaking. So let's get right into the video. So the focal length that you want to use really depends on your lens choice. Currently I'm using the 24 to 70mm f2.8 G Master lens for my Nikon D4, and it's currently set to 70mm. And when it comes to lens choice, it really does matter, because you can get a normal kit lens, which is not going to be the sharpest image, or you can save a bit more money and get a more professional lens, like this 24 to 70mm zoom lens, or the 50mm prime lens, which will obviously be the sharpest. Now, what exactly is the millimeter symbol on your lens? Well, that pretty much just talks about the distance between the sensor and the glass in the lens. The smaller the number is on your lens, the wider the field of view ends up in your final image. So the less shadow depth of field you get, and you see more in the scene. Where if you chose, let's say, 70 to 100mm, it'd be more compressed, there'd be more of a blurred background or a more shallow depth of field, and things would be a little bit more out of focus. Focal length overall changes so much. For a landscape shot, you would probably use a wider focal length, so anything from a 16mm to maybe a 35mm lens. That would probably be best for landscape. For a portrait or an interview like this, I would suggest a 50mm to maybe about 100mm. That's why I'm using a good middle ground of 70 to 85. I like using the 70mm, just gives a better look on the face and still allows you to get that nice shadow depth of field in the background. So, like I said, 24mm is a wider field of view, and I'll put an example of that in editing here. But overall, you see more of this shot in focus. You'll probably see my studio lights and part of the background of my blackout curtains and a bunch of things that you don't normally see in the shot. Then if you go into a tighter zoom like this is my normal setup. You see what I want you to see. You don't see the studio lights that are lighting me right now. You only see my background and myself. That's it. You don't see anything that's unnecessary. Something that you do for like an over-the-shoulder shot would probably be about a 50mm to maybe, if the tightest you really want to get, would probably be an 85mm lens, just so you can really get the expression and a good amount of compression on that person's face. Now, my favorite lens is the Nikon 50mm 1.4. It gives just an incredible bokeh, and it's a sharp image, and I absolutely love it. And normally I would use it for an interview, or a talking head video like this, but my camera is actually farther away in this setup, so I can't really use it, otherwise it's too far away. But I will show an example of what that looks like pretty soon. So here's the Nikon AFS Nikkor 50mm 1.4 G Master lens. It's an incredible lens, I absolutely love it, and the fact that it can get down to an f-stop of 1.4 is absolutely incredible, because it allows as much light as mechanically possible. For B-roll, I would suggest a 70 to 85mm lens, specifically a prime lens. It'll probably be a little bit smaller or just a little bit bigger than this, because overall it gives a sharper image, and just you can get so much more out of a prime lens, and usually your f-stop can also go much lower, just like this 1.4 compared to the 2.8 that I'm using right now. Now, if you're on set working on any video, specifically maybe wedding projects or commercial, the widest that I would go, unless it's a landscape shot, would probably be a 35mm lens. Because if you go any wider, there'll be some distortion on the edges, and sometimes even vignetting, which overall makes your footage look amateur and not quite professional. And that's why I try to avoid that. So the safest bet, if you really need to get a wider shot, would be 35mm. But if you're gonna do something like that, I would stick to a 50 millimeter, maybe a 40 millimeter, if you don't like the compression that the 50 millimeter can give.